How to trigger the switching mechanism of seeds. Seed misery forcing seeds to struggle. Activating the poor soil and drought switch. How to initiate the domino effect by switching your seeds on.
So we have two types of soils in these containers, in these plant pots. One is perfect, the soil you really want, organic, fluffy, and this one here is pure gravelly. If it gets wet and dry, it goes rock hard. Now, most of us, or all of us, would prefer to put the seeds inside a soil like this. Now what happens is, if you actually choose this instead, the seeds go through a process of struggle. So there's switching mechanisms in the seeds that say, okay, we have no water, we have crappy soil. So these seeds, they go into, I call it an emergency mode or a switching mode where, okay, the maximum amount of living without water is turned on, and the maximum amount of growing in very poor soils is turned on. So these seeds, because they've been around forever, for a very, very long time, they've gathered memories and experiences. And what that means is they have the ability to grow in different locations, because these seeds have grown in different locations before. So this kale has grown somewhere where it's perfect soil. It's grown somewhere where the soil is crappy. It's grown somewhere where it's always windy or there's no water, whatever it may be. The kale has a memory of growing in certain locations. The diversity protocol, again, these seeds have experienced drought. They've experienced extreme heat. They've experienced all that. So they have a built-in memory and a built-in switching mechanism that allows them to adapt to different types of soils, for example. So I used to buy plants from this nursery that had this red waterlogged topsoil, or whatever you want, clay. It was more clay-like. And the plants were struggling in this clay. And I kind of couldn't figure out why this horticulturist would use such a crappy potting medium. And then I figured it out. When I put his plants into really good compost-rich soil, they would explode. So what happens is these plants end up having a switching mechanism that says, okay, we used to grow in crappy clay, waterlogged soil. Now we're growing in perfect, humus-rich, energetic, full of nutrient soil. So they flip a switch and they go from struggling to flourishing. It's a mechanism that's built in every plant. And you know, a lot of times what happens is, so you have crappy soil and you put your plant in crappy soil, and the plant survives and just moves along very, very slowly. It's very stagnant, very stuck in growth mode. And then you have crappy soil where you've germinated your seeds. You take that out and then you put that into really good soil, and boom, they explode. They go crazy. So that is the math behind something that I called seed switching mechanisms. They have ancestral memory and a data bank built into every seed that can be triggered when needed. It can be triggered when the plant needs to go into complete survival mode. So if you put seeds in here and you get them to germinate, they will be in complete survival mode, especially if you control the water you give them. So if you gave them just enough water to always survive, you took them out of this and put them into really good soil, then you would see an explosion of growth. It's a bit of a seed doping. It's like, you know, making your seeds struggle for them to do really well later as a bigger plant or tree. So how do we use this to our advantage? Well, gardeners have this built-in perfectionism that they always want to promote. And what I mean by that is they want to have the best of everything. The best potting mix, the best growing medium, the best topsoil, the best aerated soil that you could buy. And what we're doing is we're giving our plants no reason to really perform beyond what is normal. They'll just normally grow, your garden will look good. But when you force a plant to understand that it has struggled in its lifetime, and you give it a chance to grow like crazy, it'll take that advantage and start to grow very, very quickly inside crappy soil. So the next time you're going to do some potting mix, do a 10% test where you basically grow your tomatoes in really crappy soil. Put 10 seeds in 10 crappy soil pots, and then do your regular 90 seeds or whatever you do in your other pots. And then do the test for yourself. You'll be very surprised how these tomatoes that struggled in the early days of their life simply explode now, because they're going to go way, way ahead of the tomatoes that were grown in really good medium. So try it out, and you'll be very surprised how it works out. Okay.